Welcome to Dreams Don't Expire. I'm just Janae, and here in the studio audience with me, which is really just my office, but sounds cooler, right? Is Brooke. Not just Brooke.
Not just Brooke.
Yeah.
The ex-stepdaughter-in-law.
Because why not, right? I'm really excited to have you back. Really wanted to talk today about family legacy. I think this is so important. Just got through having my family reunion, and even though both my parents are no longer with us, a lot of us were there and talking about our memories. And my brother actually told a story I had never heard. My dad was in World War II, because I'm old, so yes, he was really old. And he actually lied about his age. He was still in high school, and he went and signed up. And I had not heard that before. Apparently his mom was really mad that he did it, but he went to war underage. And he was in, I don't know what they called him, but what I would consider now a Humvee. And they were going down the road, and all of a sudden he had this amazing sense that he needed to move seats. And he moved seats, and they hit a bomb. And if it had been where he was, he would have died. His friend, Dominic, ended up in the hospital and sent home. And when my dad came home, he was telling his mom this story. And she said, I know, I had a feeling, and I got all your siblings together and we prayed for you that night. I've never heard this story. How crazy is that? Literal chills up my body and everything, because everything could have changed different had he not listened to that, right? But the whole point of this is I learned this because we were trying to keep mom and dad's legacy alive. 9 children. I think it's like 43 grandchildren, 80 some odd great-grandchildren. And when my mom died at 90, 4 great-great-grandchildren. That is legacy right there. And that's not the only part of legacy, is what we teach them that carries down. I think we are both big believers in that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Me changing what I've been doing, the quitting my job, whatnot, is because I want to pass a better legacy to my kids. I want them to know that they are capable of doing anything they want. And I know Brooke is big on that.
Yeah. And my first thing that I wanted to change for my children was how you handle finances, actually, was the first thing I wanted to change. How they looked at finances and how they handled it. Because I grew up with parents that did not know how to function with money and those kind of things. So that was my first thing I wanted to change the line for my children. And I think I showed up and taught him that. They're still learning. One of them's still quite young to understand. The older one took a lot of my information, and I think he will take it and roll with it and be very well with it. I'm not sure how my younger one will do, but that was one of the first things I wanted to change for my children and my legacy as it goes.
I think too many people don't talk about finances, and I think people just hope, because this was me, I just hoped that things would get better. So teaching that to your children is huge, because even in school, we learn math, but we really didn't learn how to deal with finances.
Yeah, I was never taught. Not one thing about finances. What I did learn is watching my parents struggle. That's how I learned. And that's how I said, that is not for me. I wanted to do things different. So everything that I did in my 20s and 30s into my 40s was look at it differently. I've always been the abnormal one on my family with finances, and hoping to pass that along to the children so that they know how to handle finances better and make different choices that and maybe even better choices than I, so that they can have that legacy of financial freedom and those kind of things as they go through their life.
And yes, these are my grandkids, so I do want to brag a little bit. The oldest is already looking, even though he's still in high school, already looking at investing, at how to be smarter with his money, and like thoughts and conversations that most high schoolers don't have, and it's really impressive.
Yeah, so he is 16. He has his own investment account right now. He's aware. We look at it together. He's aware of it. My 13-year-old also has one. He's not as into it as the 16-year-old. Caden, the older one, actually has a more entrepreneur mindset. So I think he will go far with that, and he's going to be the one that builds his investments and looks at that. I know probably a little bit sooner than the younger one. Hopefully we'll get him to that point as well. We're just not there yet.
And I love what you said about you look at it together.
Yeah.
That is huge. I mean, seriously. You can just say, here's what to do, but then you keep having those conversations and you keep looking at his progress. And yeah, but also Caden has a really special mindset. He does not have the mindset of most teenagers. He definitely has higher dreams, and he's already got ideas on what he's going to do. And it is kind of impressive to see, because his money mindset is way ahead of mine at 30. Not that I'm 30 now, but when I was 30, right?
That was a couple years ago.
Look, 30's, I've had a hard life.
Exactly. The other part, and a sensitive subject, is the legacy I would rather change, even more than financial, is the addiction problem that runs on both sides of the family, not just one, where we can learn to handle things without numbing it. So having those conversations about, we don't want this type of lifestyle I didn't want it for my children. I don't want them to have that for their children. So I had to make some changes to incorporate that. Now, does that seem selfish to make some of those choices? Yes, but I needed them to see that this isn't what we need to have in our lives anymore, even though it still is. But a different look at it, knowing that you can change those things. I grew up that way. The other side of the family grew up that way, and that does not have to be considered normal anymore. We can look at it differently and see that that's not the type of life we actually want to live, and pass on to our children. We don't need to have an addiction to numb our feelings, numb how we feel, numb our childhood. I was actually just listening to Mel Robbins before I came here. Love Mel.
Love Mel.
She was talking about how it's a mother wound turns into addiction problem quite often when they don't feel loved or safe or secure in their childhood. So that's another thing that I'm trying to incorporate to make sure my children feel those things, so that they don't have to deal with that problem later. So it's just important to me that they see that we don't have to have that type of lifestyle, and change that for my children and grandchildren, and hopefully more. We don't have to have addictions. We don't have to have those things, and then to address them if we do.
Well, and addiction is really such a thing that goes generation after generation, and breaking that cycle is so hard, because when that's what you've grown up with as normal, you don't even realize that it's not, and that it can be changed. So you breaking that cycle, first off, I'm really proud of you, because that's hard. One, to recognize that this is not who I want my kids to have to, or this is not what I want my kids to have to see or live with, but to take the steps, because anytime you are breaking what is normal for you, it's hard. And addiction is so rampant in our country right now, and it is one of the hardest things to change. You know, it's not like a habit we're breaking. This is a generational disease, and to break that, is going to be really hard, but you've seen that.
Yeah, let alone, so it's not just, so it being generational, for one thing, it is hereditary
Yeah.
or learned.
Yeah.
So you can have both sides of those. And if you're growing up with a parent that is addicted to something, some sort of substance, the likelihood of you becoming addicted is quite high, higher than kids that did not grow up in that. So I would like to remove that and see that we can have a lifestyle without having that in our lives all the time. So was it hard to break? Yes. So I'm trying to continue that and see if I can do that. I am 45 years old and I have been what's the word I'm looking for? Affected by alcoholism my entire life, and I don't drink. So I would like to change that so that we don't have to have that as a normal for my two children going on into their 20s, and so that they can see that we don't need to have alcohol, we don't need to have substance, we don't need to have pills. We can actually live a great, fulfilling life without having those things in it.
Well, and I'm going to take this just a little bit different. So we have taught that we don't deal with our feelings. We don't deal with anxiety. We give medication. We do the simple solution. Well, anxiety has risen because we have not taught people the tools to deal with what's going on. Well, that's why you get the alcoholism, the drug abuse, all of that is because we haven't been teaching the tools to deal with life. And so the next generation is going to be even harder because there are just, hey, are you not feeling good? Let me give you something. Oh, here, take a drink. And it's just going to keep getting worse. So, that addiction, part of that is the ignoring the symptoms, ignoring the root cause. You're dealing with the symptoms and you're ignoring the root cause. You need to get to the root cause of those feelings of whether it's anxiety or I'm not enough or whatever it is that you are trying to dull with medication, with alcohol, with drugs, whatever. We need as a society to change what we're doing because what we're doing now is not working.
No, and I think that yes, do some people need some of those medications? Yes, but I also work in the medical side of things and I get to see a lot of health histories. And do you know the amount of people that are on anti-anxiety, anti-depression medication? A lot. Mm-hmm. Majority of people that I'm putting in. So again, that's just another thing that we're maybe overprescribing. We're not learning how to deal with our emotions. So that's just another thing to work with my children and have the harder conversations about how to regulate our own emotions as well. So that would be another thing that I would like to change for my children going forward as well.
Giving them the tools.
Yep.
Yeah.
Knowledge, tools, space to look at that kind of stuff, to change how we deal with things.
And that's huge. I think the family unit is going to keep fracturing if society itself is going to keep fracturing if we don't change what we do to deal with emotions, to deal with life, to actually not help the alcohol and drug companies become richer. They don't need it. We want our families to become richer in relationships, in connection. Yeah, that's where we need to be wealthy as a nation. Not, hey, I won't say any brand, but let's be honest. Some of those commercials out there make it look really cool, right? And so we're obviously giving them a ton of money if they can make those really cool commercials. We need to focus the wealth on the connections, the relationship, these strong people, and change our family legacy.
And sometimes that's working on yourself.
Yes, it starts with us.
Yep.
Every single time. Brooke couldn't do this for her family had she not started on herself. I could not be where I'm not at if I didn't start with myself. You know, I started not loving myself. Well, guess what? From that, you build nothing. So you got to start with you, because you can't pass down something amazing to your family if you are still broken. So I think today, that's my challenge to you, is what thing are you going to work on so that you can change your family legacy? What thing within you? Because it starts with you. Okay, guys, get out there. Change your legacy, whatever it looks like, to a better version, because nobody has the perfect legacy yet. So there's something you can work on. Thank you for spending this time with me and for listening with an open heart, for choosing to invest in your growth today. If this episode spoke to you, I would love for you to share it with someone else who just may need the reminder that their dreams still matter. Sometimes one conversation, one message, one moment of encouragement can change everything. And if you want to go deeper, my book, Rise, Believe, Become, was written with you in mind. There is more out there for you. Your potential is so much bigger than you'll know. This is your time to find the courage to take the next step in your journey. You can find my book on Amazon. This is just Janae reminding you that no matter what phase you are in, your dreams don't expire. Until next time, keep rising.